Hello, hello! David Snowpick here from Snowpick Games. Welcome to the stream. Nobody has spoken up yet. Am I here all alone? I guess that's okay. I code all alone all the time. But if anyone's out there, please let me know, because I don't know who's there other than the little eyeball with a number. Ruben! It's going all right. How's by you? What kind of characters do we get? You have it's either a dress or like one of those fancy old-timey shirts with like a tail. That looks pretty cool. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with me. I think I have a helmet and like, is that a beard sticking out of my helmet? Anyway, we're looking awesome. I got some purple and a centurion thing. How's everyone doing? How's by you? I am really tired and out of it because I was in Valencia last week and I'm still really jet lagged. I went to the Godot sprint in Valencia, which I'll talk a little bit about, I guess, in the beginning here while we're waiting for folks to jump in. But how are you guys? How are your projects? What's been going on in the 2 weeks since we have been here together? Hey, Renee, welcome to the stream. It's been quite a while. You got a pretty cool character. You got like a sort of blacksmith guy with a beard. Ruben is messing around with audio in Unity and hates it so much. You know, I've never used Unity, as I am, always open source first. If there's an open source alternative, I will take that. What is so painful about audio in Unity? I know audio in Godot is relatively simplistic. There's a contributor, Ellen, who I actually met. I met her in Valencia, which was cool. It's really cool going to these sprints because then I get to meet people who, for the longest time, were just usernames on GitHub and see them in actual real life. And then when I'm later reading issues or PRs or whatever, I can like picture, their voice and how their personality is to go along with the text, which is really cool. But yeah, my understanding is audio in Godot is super simplistic and people are always looking to do more advanced things with it. I would assume that Unity already can do more advanced things, or at least maybe people just always use plugins like Wise and what's the other big one? I can't think of it. Anyway, I'd be curious to know a little bit about what audio in Unity is like. So anyway, I guess if no one else is going to be sharing their projects and what's going on by them, I will just talk for a moment about Valencia. So there was a Godot contributor sprint in Valencia, and I had the opportunity to go. It's the first time I've ever gone to a Godot sprint. Hey, Ashton, welcome to the stream. Yeah, Fmod. That's the one I was trying to think of. Fmod's the other like super common audio plugin. So anyway, it wasn't what I expected. I've been to a number of open source sprints in the past because I've been doing open source since the 90s. And I've even organized some open source sprints around Drupal, which was an open source project I was involved with for a long time and still am involved with now, but not nearly as much as I used to be. And those basically look like you get together and there's a bunch of issues or PRs, and then like you hack on them together in person, just sort of like forming into groups and getting down to business. That was not what the sprint in Valencia was like at all. We basically just like talked. It was kind of like, rather than picking an issue or a PR and hacking on it, we picked like a concern in the community or the project and talked through it, which was still really cool. It's very interesting to be together with all of the kind of like high level people on the project and hear their thoughts in real time and see what's going on and be kind of on the inside, air quotes. And like I said, I think the main thing for me was just being able to meet these people in person, just people who are on the issue queue like nonstop, like Kalanow, Hugo, got to meet him in person. Kobe Y, Tomek, got to meet him in person. Like there's probably more issues and comments in GitHub I read from them than like anybody. Now I have a face and a voice and a personality to go with it. So that's really cool. Yeah. Otherwise, did you guys hear about the Apple headset? What the whole internet's talking about right now. I'll try not to talk about it too much at the moment, because everybody is talking about it, and so like every opinion's probably already been voice, but because like XR is my main thing, like VR is my main deal, I have to say something about it, right? I don't know. It's pricey. It seems cool. Yeah, Rupert says, F no, 3.5K. You know what's funny is in the week leading up to the announcement, like it's been rumored that the headset was going to cost $3,000 for a long time, like months, maybe a year, I don't know. And in the week leading up to it, there were rumors like, oh, it's actually going to be 2K. They're going to surprise us with this 2K thing. And then it gets announced and it's actually higher than the 3,000 that we'd all been talking about for so long. I mean, it's there's a lot of cool features on it. Like 4K per eye, it sounds amazing. High resolution pass-through cameras sounds amazing. I have the Quest Pro, and it is surprisingly compelling pass-through AR. Like I expected nothing from it. Like I wasn't expecting it to be cool or anything. I was just like, oh, it's a thing that I'm not particularly interested in. Let me try it. And it was surprisingly compelling. But the cameras on the Quest Pro are horrible. They're super low res. Like you forget about it once you get engaged in whatever it is you're doing in AR, but it would be really, really cool to see high resolution cameras. The using eye tracking as the primary pointer is also interesting. I think I've maybe experienced that a little bit on the PSVR 2 when I did the PSVR 2 demo at GDC, but like the Quest Pro basically like doesn't use the eye tracking for anything. It's like an optional feature that's not really taken advantage of. So it'd be interesting to see like that AI, why am I saying AI? That UI paradigm. But man, $3,500. I don't know. I don't know if anyone's going to buy it. And I know all of the people who are real big Apple fans, like, oh, it's a 1.0 product, and the next one's going to be cheaper. And I don't know. We'll see. I'm very glad that they entered the market, and I'm very glad that lots of people who otherwise would have thought that AR and VR are stupid are now like excited about it because Apple's doing it. And so now they can like they can join the team or whatever. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we have been for months now trying to port SG Physics 2D, my 2D deterministic physics engine, which I'm primarily use for doing like rollback netcode. But this 2D deterministic physics engine for Godot 3, porting it to Godot 4. And we have been attempting to port it as a GDExtension as opposed to a module in Godot 3. The advantage of a GDExtension is that you just distribute like the SO or dilib or DLL, and as opposed to with a module, you have to recompile the whole engine. Ashton says, I imagine 3.5 is just the maximum they thought the market could bear, not necessarily connected to the development costs. You know, the thing is, and sorry to go back to the Apple, man, I'll try so hard not to like do this too much today. The Quest is essentially a smartphone strapped to your face, right? Like that's the power level, that's the hardware that's in it. It's a smartphone processor, with then like the lenses and all the stuff to make it a VR headset. The Apple thing is a laptop strapped to your face. It's a laptop. It has an M2 processor in it. So like the price isn't totally crazy if you think of it as a laptop replacement. Is it a laptop replacement? No. I hear it's very heavy because they decided to be very Apple-y and make it and include metal and glass in it. Whereas like the Quest and most VR headsets, the only glass in them is the lenses that are needed to be a VR headset, and like the little pieces of glass on the like the cameras that are used for tracking your environment and knowing where you are in the space and everything. But yeah, they put that whole faceplate out of glass, and I guess there's metal beyond like the copper wires on the circuit board holding it together. So it's so weird to have them making this like, yeah, watch a movie in it, but then they made it so heavy. I don't know. But yeah, the 3.5K. I mean, how much does a MacBook cost, and then take that and imagine, shrinking it, putting super expensive lenses on it, super expensive micro OLED displays. It's really cool that they used micro OLED displays, by the way. I always get confused about the different kinds of OLED because they have like such similar names, but there's like mini OLED and micro OLED. One of those is super high tech and the other is just like a shrunken version of a low tech thing. But I think they use the high tech one, right? So it kind of makes sense with costs if you're saying it's a laptop on your face. I don't know. Anyway, returning to what we're going to be hacking on today on this stream. So we were porting this to GDExtension, found out that there were actually quite a lot of things that were incomplete or buggy in GDExtension, and that led to several months of actually working on improving GDExtension, and we've accomplished really an amazing amount that's going to be included in Godot 4.1, which should be coming out in a couple of weeks. And actually, I think like we had to sort of like reorganize. We started doing meetings again for the GDExtension team and kind of get into a new rhythm of how we're going to work and do things. So that took a bunch of time. And like after Godot 4.0 came out, I think like the whole like Godot contributor community, or at least like 90% of it, kind of like took a break for a month. So we really only had like a very short time to actually do things. I think we accomplished really quite a lot. Certainly there's a ton more work to do in GDExtension to bring it to its full potential, to make it be what it was meant to be. But we accomplished a lot, to the point that this is the test project, my favorite of the test projects for SG Physics 2D, where it's just, testing some shapes and raycasts and whatever. This is working with no patches, with no unmerged PRs in Godot, whereas last week we were still using, I think, 2 or 3 unmerged PRs to make this all work. So yeah, that's exciting. So where we left off last week was we were making we were porting one of the editor plugins because SG Physics 2D adds these extra physics nodes to Godot. We can't use the normal physics nodes because they do everything in floating point math, and the way that SG Physics 2D, or I guess there's a lot of things to making a deterministic physics engine, but one of the big differences between SG Physics 2D and the Godot physics engine is that SG Physics 2D is based on fixed point math. So, hey, Erico, welcome to the stream. Ooh, you are rocking a nice orc with a nice full beard, looking good. So anyway, we can't use any of the built-in Godot nodes because we have to make sure we're using fixed point math like all the way up the chain. So anyway, we're adding these extra nodes. They include some shapes and stuff, and you need to be able to like edit these shapes in the editor to really do anything useful with them. I guess you could like change the numbers manually, but that sucks. So we were working on the editor plugin that allows you to, in the editor, have these little handles and resize the shape. And where we got to at the end of the last stream 2 weeks ago was we had the handles drawn in the right place, as you can see here, and the ability to move them, but it is not actually, or it does actually appear to be making changes. I had thought that it wasn't actually committing the changes. Interesting. Well, it may be committing the changes, but we don't have undo or redo set up. So I just did that, and then I hit Control Z, and nothing happens. So the first thing I think we're going to do on the stream is get our editor plugin connected into the undo redo manager. And from there, I guess we'll just look at what else is working or not working, and pick the next thing and move forward. Heavy subject today. I hope I can catch some. Ricardo does not appear to be here, but I've mentioned this before. Every time I do a physics-related stream, I get way less viewers than like any other kind of stream. Except Ricardo is always very enthusiastic. He's in here like, yeah, physics stream, physics. So yeah, I know that this is a not the greatest subject. I was considering another detour. We'll get to this. It was only 15 minutes in. I'm allowed a certain number of ADD related distractions at the beginning of the stream. All right. I was considering instead of working on physics and GDExtension stuff today, I started making this little game for my daughters that I'm calling Fairies and Bees. That is the working title. I considered working on that on the stream instead of this because I'm like, let's just do something easy. None of this physics. Let's just make this cool fairy game, which is not much to it yet. Presently, I'm working on split screen, but they have this like long-running fantasy game that they play with each other that involves like different kinds of fairies, and the bees are their helpers, and then like the bad guys are these dark fairies, and their helpers are bats. They're the bad fairies. And I was going to take like the different like rules and things in this game that they play together and make it into a video game. But yeah, we're not doing that today. Maybe after Godot 4.1 is out, we'll just fairies and bees all the time after Godot 4.1 is out. Anyway. Ashley says, I'm here being hyped because I want to use it. Oh, cool. I'm working on a manual wheelchair simulator. The 3D physics rigid body is driving me nuts. I like the subject. Nice price. Thanks. I am not an artist. Or I guess I should say I am a very specific artist that some people would refer to as bad. But yeah, one of the requirements for this Fairies and Bees game that I set for myself is that all of the pixel art, all of the art is going to be made by me or my daughters, because frequently when we make things, we'll like use an asset pack or something, and then they'll be like, let's add this, and I'll be like, okay, well I can draw that, but it's not going to look right because my style doesn't match the art of the asset pack. So the idea is I'm gonna draw everything, so everything will fit together by all looking equally bad. Anyway, I'm very excited about that project. Playing split screen games with my daughters is like one of my favorite things. All right, so let's dig into this, folks. I guess we need the SG collision shape editor. I think this is the one. Integrity is the key, exactly. All right, so what do we got? We can set the handles. I gotta be honest, I'm surprised that it's updating the underlying data, because I just really didn't think it would. So where's the bit where we're dragging the handles? Okay, so here's where we're dragging the handles. We're getting a mouse button left. We're looping through some handles here and checking the distance. If the distance is less than 8, which is a pretty arbitrary amount, I guess maybe that's the size of the sprite. We say we're editing that handle. Then we get the handle value. All right, and then hang on. So is pressed. Okay, so I see how we're doing this here. So there's these two chunks. This chunk is sort of implicitly testing if the input event we received is a mouse button event, because if we tried to assign the event of type input event to a ref of type input event mouse button, it would be null if it wasn't actually of this type. So it checks if it's that type, and otherwise it would be null. So then this is valid check, which is basically just checking if the reference is null, or not null, I guess, for is valid. And then down here, we're doing the same thing, but we're assigning it to a mouse motion reference. So then here, this code will only run if we actually receive a mouse motion. So This is just the up and down for the mouse button. Then down here's the actual movement. So if the handle is -1 or not pressed, then we bail. We're not doing anything with this mouse event. But if it is, then here we are figuring out where that point should actually be and doing set handle. So set handle, we have rectangles. Okay, so the handles have particular indexes. I guess this is the X, Y, and something. Oh, okay, so we have the X and the Y and then the diagonal handle, right? So that must be like, what would this be? Yeah, index 1, index 0, index 1, index 2. Cool. And then we're actually updating the rectangle extents and setting it. So we are updating it. We're updating the underlying resource. And then here's this commit handle. Where does that happen? Okay, so when you is this a member? Yes, it is. Okay, I got it. So this is a member variable that gets set to true when we're first pressing. So if pressed, so then here we were previously pressed, now we're releasing it, so then we commit it. All right, and commit handle takes us to this commented out code. Because we cannot use the same undo redo system as we did previously when it was a module, we have to use a new class now that we are doing a GDExtension. So let's look in the docs and see what we can find. I think it's like editor undo redo manager, but I'm just going to search for undo redo manager. See what I get. Editor undo redo manager. All right. Editor undo redo manager is a manager for undo redo objects associated with edited scenes. Each scene has its own undo history, and editor undo redo manager ensures that each action performed in the editor gets associated with a proper scene. For actions not related to scenes, a separate global history is used. The usage is mostly the same as undo redo. Good, because that's what we were using before. You create and commit actions, and the manager automatically decides under the hood what scene it belongs to. The scene is deduced based on the first operation in an action using the object from the operation. The rules are as follows. If the object is a node, use the currently added scene. If the object is a built-in resource, use scene from its path. If the object is external resource or anything else, use global history. So in this case, I guess we're editing a built-in resource. Cool. API, so you can refer to its documentation for examples. The main difference uses objects plus method instead of callable. I guess this is good. Callables have a better user or developer experience, but I don't think we can use them from GDExtension. There is actually, I think Ricardo, who I was just talking about earlier, has an issue about it, or at least put it on the GDExtension meeting notes to figure out how we could actually make it so you can use callables from a GDExtension. But I think there's an issue about it. So some stuff with callables works. Or at least the code for it has been generated. That's interesting. Let's look for issues. GDExtension missing functionality to assign native method to callable. Yeah. We that's what we want. If we want to actually use callables. Oh, and I guess it was called out by Xylon. And here's Ricardo talking about it. Since that it is possible to call a callable using the call view method and pass arguments. Then I guess in Xylon's big issue about porting his voxel module to Godot 4 as a GDExtension, called this one out. All right, so we're not worried about callables. We can't use them. which is fine because this guy doesn't use callables. We give it an object and then the name of a method, which I guess means we need to bind all of the methods that we want undo redo to call. So where am I at? All right, so step 1, we need to get an instance of this undo redo manager. How do we do that? Let's look, and it's either going to be hanging off of editor plugin or editor interface. Let's go look here. Undo. Get undo redo. Perfect. So are you a reference type or an object? You're an object. That is fine. So we're going to say editor undo redo manager. Undo redo equals, or here we have like a global instance of it. Maybe we should do the same thing. So let's look at, so previously, yeah, we were storing, we could do the same thing. So we'll say editor undo redo manager undo redo. We probably need to include the header, or at least forward declare it. Let's forward declare editor undo, or is it not needed? VS Code's not complaining. Okay. And where did we, in the old version of the code, where did we set that? So let's search for undo redo equals. We did it in the constructor. Can we do this in the constructor? I do not know. Let's try it. Let's try it and see what happens. So we need to say get undo redo. Let me put that at the top. All right, so then in here we don't need to get it because we already have it. Previously we were doing this create action. How do we do that here? Oh, it's the same. So create action, name. We might not actually need to change very much at all. Let's get rid of the TTR because there is no way to do translation strings in GDExtension, at least not yet. It's on my big to-do list of things that are missing from GDExtension still. So I'm going to say editor undo redo manager. And I have an obsessive need to sort my includes. So we'll sort those ascending. What'd I do? Oh, I did something. I did something. I like totally messed this up. Okay, let's go ask Git to tell me what changes I made. Wrong directory. Oh, okay. So I didn't mess it up that bad. All right, all right. I feel like there was another include here, though. Did I like... Let's save it. There we go. Okay. So I don't even know what I hit. I hit some key that just made a whole bunch of random things get deleted. Probably something weird in the Vim key bindings. Okay. So editor, undo, redo, manager. And then we will, again, sort lines ascending. Perfect. Don't touch anything. Hey, Ricardo. I have mentioned you a couple of times on the stream already. Only good things, I promise. I was talking about the being able to use callables from GDExtension, which I know was something that you wanted to talk about at the next GDExtension meeting. But we don't need them for what we're doing here, which is awesome. Okay, so does this have the same API as the old one? It seems to. Add do method, add undo method. Interesting. Okay, so we add a do method to set the extents. Which, is that really necessary? Because we're like setting the extents all the time up in here. Or yeah, I suppose it is necessary because if we redo it, right? So undo should set the extents back to what they were. And then if we redo it, we need to have this to set it again. Okay. Will this work though? Because the rectangle, all of these methods that get called need to be bound. And I think they will be. Let's just make sure. Set extents, get extents. Where's your bind methods though? There it is. Okay, it is bound, so that should be good. And then the update viewport thing. So how are we doing that presently? I know we had to change something last stream to do the update viewport. Okay, we have this update overlays function. Is that our function or is that an editor plugin function? It's an editor plugin function. Awesome. That means we can just say this, right? And it's update overlays. And this get extents returns a reference to an SG fixed vector 2. So I'm worried a little bit about, do we need to duplicate that object? Because we need to make sure that we don't put something into the undo redo stack that could change. Like if this SG fixed vector 2 reference is still referred to from somewhere else and we change it, that will actually change the data undo redo stack, making the undo redo not deterministic. And we can't have a deterministic physics engine if undo and redo is not deterministic. Well, we probably could, but we don't want that. So let me go look at get extents. And it's just returning this value, which really makes me think we need to duplicate it. So let's do that. Let's is it duplicate or do we call it copy? We call it copy. And then this original how does that get here? How does the original get here? Commit handle. So I guess commit handle is passing it to us. Or we're passing it to commit handle. And we're the ones calling commit handle, so come on. Come on, VS Code Vim bindings. You can do it. There we go. Okay, and so how are we maintaining this original? Get handle value. Extends abs. So this abs is definitely making a copy. Circle, get radius, that's just a integer. Get radius, get height. Okay, so I think we're good on that end. Chaosifier! Welcome to the stream! And you're welcome for whatever you're thanking me for. As I'm not fully aware what that is. Ooh, you got a sweet character. You got a white beard on an orc, and it looks like you might be wearing green gloves to go with your green shorts there. Looking nice. All right, so this might work. This code right here might work. Let's take a peek at what we have to do for the rest of them, for circles and capsules. I love saying capsule. And we'll copy this change we had to do for the update viewport down into each of these. And just looking at the code, I think we don't have to change anything else. I mean, we'll find out once we try it. But this looks good, because radius and height, which we don't appear to be messing with height. How is it that we are editing capsules and only changing the radius? That doesn't make any sense. I think there might be a bug here. A bug from that even exists in the Godot 3 version. So let me look at... So the capsule, we have two different handles. One for the height, one for the radius. When is this the set handle? Yep, okay, set handle. So when we get to commit handle, we can actually check which handle we're committing. It doesn't matter for the rectangle, because no matter what, we're editing the extents. It doesn't matter for a circle, but for the capsule, it does matter. So let's do... here, these ones could be the same no matter what we do. And then we're going to say if idx equals possibly 0 for the radius. I'm not sure which one is which. I have to look at the code again. Gaspar says, I'm always thanking, is this the word you for making these valuable things for the community? Well, thank you very much. It is awesome to know that the things that I'm making are appreciated. Helps to motivate me to make more things. All right, so 0 is radius and 1 is height. So let's copy these. And I mean, there's only one other index. So else is probably fine. Set height, get height. And yeah, is the original stuff all set up to work right for capsules? Let me check where we're calling this commit handle. Original get handle value. Okay, the get handle value does a different thing for capsules versus radius. Cool. I think everything's good here. We just didn't have this. And actually, after looking at this code, which is explicitly checking the indexes, I think I'm going to explicitly check the indexes just so it matches. So it's be else if idx equals 1. Or however you do that in C++. I switched programming languages too much. All right, else space if in this case. Okay. Let me just look through here for any other calls to undo redo. And that looks like it. Okay, let's compile this and test it. What? Okay, we'll build, and then what is this? Platform IO IDE release notes. Okay. Thank you, VS Code, for unprompted giving me some release notes for one of the random extensions I use. It looks like it succeeded in building. Let's give it a try. Oh, I have to actually kill this first, though. All right, let's start moving some handles here, and then Control Z. Hey! Let's try redo. I don't know the key. Control Shift Z. All right, for redo. Yep, seems to be working. Scene undo redo, set handle. I guess we gave it the name set handle, which is fine. Doesn't really matter, as it just appears in like the undo redo stack. How do we view the undo redo stack in Godot? It's not something I've ever done. Well, it doesn't really matter. That works. Let's try circles. Undo, redo, and the capsules. So we'll edit height, undo, redo, and we will edit the radius. I think that one's the radius. Yeah, it must be. Undo, redo. Beautiful. That's done. Easy. No problem. Nothing at all. Let's just undo until everything's back to normal. Save it. We can do a quick git diff. See if any changes we didn't expect snuck into the project. Nope. Seems all good. Let's commit that. So re-implemented undo redo in the collision shape editor plugin. Sweet. All right, what's next? Let's just kind of take a look at what is commented out and see what we want to bring back. So in here, when we're entering the tree and exiting the tree, we're connecting to the node removed. And then we're saying if it's a node. Okay, so basically this is a way to say that it's to stop editing a node that has been removed. And I actually not sure why I did it like this. Just setting it to null pointer. I mean, that will stop like a seg fault from happening, but it won't really put the editor in the right state. I think to put the editor in the right state, we need to call whatever our edit function is. Where's that? There's some function we call to say we're going to start editing a particular node. Is that just like underscore edit? Here we go, underscore edit. So then this will update the overlay, potentially. I guess that's all it does. Is it all it does is update the overlay? But yeah, we do want that to happen. So let's go to here, and I think what we want to do is edit null pointer as opposed to just clearing it. So we want this to happen. I assume node removed is still a signal on the scene tree in Godot 4. Let's just check. Erico says, gotta leave the option of no undo for rogue bashing jam coding. There must be undo. I'm sorry, Erico, but there must be undo. No, I don't know. I just just want to make things work the way they did before. Okay, so this is the actual class reference, signals, node removed. Beautiful. So this code should still work so long as node removed on our class is still bound. Oh, wait. How does connect work from GDExtension if we can't make callables? Can we make callables? How do we connect to a signal at all? Is that totally broken right now? Let me take a look at the Godot CPP code, which I don't think I have open right now. No, I don't. At least I don't see it. Godot CPP. We're doing some stuff with signals in the test project, but we might be doing it all from the GD script end. So we're emitting a signal. If it's presently not possible to connect to signals in GDExtension, that's crazy. I wouldn't be totally surprised, given the sort of like piecemeal way that GDExtension has been developed. But yeah, if it doesn't, maybe we will end up working on adding nice callables to Godot CPP like Ricardo wanted on this stream. Or just has someone already worked on it? Is there a PR? Varg methods of built-in classes. Separate definition. What is this one? I did look at it briefly. Because Fabio asked me a thing about vargs, and I was like just going through everything that dealt with vargs. Implement built-in classes vargs methods need this. What is this? Set varg methods pointer call of built-in classes and let them can be called without arguments. So this is a Godot change. This lambda is not going to be popular with the Godot team, but if there's no other way to do it, they do allow things like that sometimes. So feel free to add callable MP and callable MP static if it helps you. Well, we need to add them eventually. And I'm just wondering if there even is a workaround presently or not. It's possible to call a callable using callv method and passing the arguments as a single array. Confirmed. I can't use callable bind to connect to a signal. So what exactly is callable bind? Let's go look in the Godot source code first. Callable. Nope. Oh yeah, bind. Okay, so that's just adding extra arguments to the end. Yep, okay. So callable bind is not working, which is fine for us. We don't need it right now. Can we create normal callables? And actually, I want to look at how callable MP are implemented in the engine. Callable method pointer. Create custom callable function pointer. Some template metaprogramming. How I like to start every morning. You know, I don't want to start like a C++ rant, but like templates are the most awkward metaprogramming language that could have been conceived. Like templates are great for templates, but the fact that they get used for all metaprogramming in C++, not a fan. Not a fan at all. I don't really know Rust, but I've spent a little bit of time poking around in it, and Rust having like a nice macro language seems like kind of the right way that this maybe should have been done. Anyway, end C++ rant. Create callable, custom callable function pointer. So in debug, we're keeping track of its name. Otherwise, we're making a function pointer. Or we're returning a... What the heck's going on here? Oh, this is all the arguments. We're still in the arguments. Okay, so we're taking an argument that's a function pointer. Cool. So we're either getting the instance, text, and pointer, or instance and function pointer. Then here, so this must be a child class of callable, right? Public callable, method pointer base, custom callable, which I'm sure will eventually get us up to. No, it's not. It's not a child of callable. Okay, so how does this work? How are these used as callables if they're not ultimately a child of callable? Do you create a callable that accepts a custom callable? Class callable, blah. Okay, let's just search for. Oh, yes, you do. Okay, so a callable either contains an object ID, I assume, it's just called object, or a custom callable pointer. What is the object ID or whatever this is referring to? Unless it's an object pointer that just happens to be stored as an integer. Is it an object that happens to be stored as an integer? No, it's an object ID. Okay. Whew. I feel slightly better about that as an implementation. Okay, custom callable. Okay. So from the perspective of GDExtension, can we set a custom callable that points all the way into a GDExtension? I feel like we can't, but I don't actually know if that's true. At least not directly. So how would that have to work? We'd have to have some GDExtension interface method that we like pass the function pointer into GDExtension to it, and then it would create a custom callable on this end, and then, yeah, maybe that's how that would have to work. All right, well, what can we do right now? What is possible now? We want to make a callable. And what kind of arguments do we need to pass into a callable? An object and a string name. So that we can do. All right, that might be all we can do. So let's say callable object string name. I'm going to go look at the code that's generated on the GDExtension side. I just want to see how this works. So it looks like it's mostly just doing normal binding stuff. And this must be a constructor that already exists. Yeah, method bindings constructor 2. Okay, so returning to the callable MP, just because I started thinking about it so far, and I want to kind of like think through this the rest of the way. And does this even work? Remove? I'm very confused sometimes about how callables do things now in Godot 4. So when you compare a callable, where's like the equals operator here? How do we compare? Here we go, equals operator. or no, this is an assignment operator, not here we go. This is what I want. This equals. Okay, so if they are custom, it checks if they're both custom, then we compare these function pointers. If they're not both custom, then we compare the object and the method. Okay, so I guess it would be able to figure out how to disconnect it. All right, sorry for all the tangents. I don't know. I just gotta sometimes I just gotta explore and see what's going on. So the callable MP thing, yeah, I do think we would need to basically have it work that way, where we would add, where's my Godot CPP? Or I guess we'd just have to start on the Godot side. We'd add like a create callable GDExtension interface method. So let's go look at GDExtension interface. I think we would create a new method here, which, I don't know, where's a good place to start writing some junk, which would be something like typedef, it'd be like GDExtension object pointer. We'd probably call it something like GDExtension interface, I don't know, create callable MP, and it would take a, I guess, generic function pointer, which we do have a type for that, but I think it has a name that isn't great for this. GDExtension interface function pointer. Okay, that's a fine name. That's okay. And then it would be like, or wait, it can't be one of those because this is a C++ thing. So function pointers are fine to pass around if they're C function pointers to functions that are, I don't know the right way to phrase this, but are called with the C calling convention. Once we go into C++, the calling convention is unpredictable and we can't pass those kind of function pointers around, at least not generically, right? Like we could define a specific function pointer for a specific class and method. Yeah, I don't know if there's a good way to do this. The like Godot binding stuff, like the code that binds methods in the class DB, does some fun template metaprogramming to make the C++ function pointers work. And it works because we're binding specific methods. And when the methods are bound, we can rely on that, right? We can rely on the class DB magic. Yeah, I guess I'm happy that I dug into this a little bit because I kind of have a picture in my head now of the problem. I have no idea what the solution is. Like allowing Godot land to call a method on an object is exactly what binding a method does. Like all of that magic with binding a method allows that to work. And we're trying to say, is there a way we can do that same thing with a method that isn't bound? And I don't see how we do that without doing all of the same work that's involved in binding a method, which brings us all the way back to like, well, how about you just bind the method? You know? Like I can't think of a way to make it simpler than all of the same stuff that goes into binding a method. This might just end up being a limitation of using GDExtension, that you can't use like callable MP and callable MP static. I mean, if callable MP was like a template that generated a new function with C style calling convention, and then we pass a pointer to that, and actually static methods might be fine. Callable MP static, maybe we could implement that. Can we generate a new C-style method at the time that we're calling this thing? I don't know. This is interesting. Hey, Elliot! Welcome to the stream. You missed the beginning part where I was trying really hard not to talk about the Apple headset. We did talk about the Apple headset for like 10 minutes, but I was trying really hard not to talk about it. Elliot and I had a medium-sized text exchange about the Apple headset, which is very interesting. But I do recognize that the entire internet is talking about it, so you probably don't need to see me talk about it. My fans want my take. Yeah, I mean, I already kind of said mostly the things that I had to say about it. I am definitely going to try to get a demo if I can. Like, I imagine at some point they're going to show up in Apple stores, right? And I'll go do that. And supposedly, according to a an article that was published during the WWDC stuff, the headset's going to support WebXR. And as the WebXR maintainer for Godot engine, I would love to be able to say Godot apps can run on the headset. Like, that'd be really cool. Yes, absolutely. We should do a road trip to go try the headset for sure. That would be amazing. So I would love to like know someone who has one. So I can send them like, hey, try this project. Does this project work? And I could like debug it. I just don't see myself getting this one. Yeah. To be the first Apple product I ever owned. Or no, that's not true. I've owned Apple products, just not recently. I had a Power PC, like this big tower Mac that I inherited from a friend, and I ran Debian on it. And maybe at one point I think I ran NetBSD on it as well. Anyway, that was a really sweet machine. Anyway, enough Apple. No worries. I'm very distractible, as you know. Yeah, so I think, I don't know, the whole thing with callable MP and that is going to take a ton of thinking. But I think we can do what we want to do here. So going up the tangent stack, let's see if there's any other commented out code in here that we need to remove or maybe can fix. Ooh, okay, this is a thing we need to get into GDExtension somehow. There's no way, we were looking at this last week, there isn't a way to directly access, or not last week, 2 weeks ago, the last stream, this canvas item editor object. We were last week trying to get the canvas transform, so like when people scroll the canvas viewport in the Godot editor, we would be able to move our handles and different editor plugin controls around. And actually, if you guys remember from 2 weeks ago, we added a method to we bound a new method in Godot engine that we could call from GDExtension, and I made a PR for it on stream, and it turns out that there's actually a way to do that without adding a method. So I've switched to that. That's this get canvas transform. Kobe Y Tomek told me how to do this. I still think this is crazy verbose for something that probably lots of editor plugins will want to do. So maybe it still does make sense to add a method, but maybe that could come as a package of methods, because there's at least one more thing we need to access on the canvas item editor, and that is this snap point. So like when you're using the editor, you can configure how snapping works in the editor, and as of right now, whatever snap settings we set, our editor plugin won't go along with them. The way that we make it go along with those settings is by calling the snap point method. So this needs to be exposed. I'm going to add a note about that to my to-do. Okay, so where should I put this? I have a lot of things on my to-do. Sorry, I don't mean to expose my to-do to the universe. So expose some. I thought I disabled this like AI autocomplete thing here, but it clearly is still here and annoying me. Expose some canvas item editor functions to GDExtension. So there was the get global canvas transform. Place workaround, and then this one was snap point. And maybe I'll make a PR for that, and Tomek will tell me there's another way to access it as well. But I don't think there is. I mean, we could poke around for a second and see if there is. Actually, let's do that. Let's go look in the Godot 4 source code here and go to canvas item editor. Snap point. Ooh, and snap angle. That's probably a good one to expose as well. Let me add that to my to-do list. Snap angle. Let's search for everywhere that's calling snap point. Yes, these are some other editor plugins that are calling it directly. Here's the thing itself. Yeah. Raycast editor, Polygon 2D editor. Just trying to see if maybe there's something that's calling it that we can call, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like we need to expose this to GDExtension. Which I don't think I'm going to do on stream this time. Well, maybe. I think just taking a note of it is good for now. And maybe I'll put a to-do here. Going up the tangent stack. We don't want to overflow the stack. That's the main thing you don't want to have happen to your tangent stack, is you don't want to overflow it. Because then you'll start writing into high memory, or not high memory, what would you call that? Like the top of your heap. We don't want that to happen. Get current shape type. Does this need to be bound? I don't think this needs to be bound. I don't think we're using it anywhere where it needs to be bound. We could probably remove it. I'll do that. Enter tree, exit tree. I mean, we're not doing anything in them. Maybe we should be doing something in them? For an editor plugin, enter tree, exit tree denotes when the plugin has been loaded or unloaded from the editor. Is there anything we should be doing in that case? I'm going to say no. Like, there's a bunch of state that we keep that could be potentially dangerous. Like the node that we're editing, but we're not going to do anything with it if we aren't getting, you know, the forward canvas GUI input or forward canvas driver viewport called. So I think it's safe-ish. What did we do in the Godot 3 version? Oh. So conceivably, we could do the stuff that we're doing in this notification in there. It's not really any advantage to that, though. I guess let's just make sure that that code's actually running. And if it is, then let's just delete the enter canvas, exit canvas stuff, or enter tree, exit tree stuff, the specific methods. Leave the notification, but add the specific methods. Thank you, Elliot. You're maybe a little bit over the top, but thank you for the kind words. So this is notification tree. Let's add some old school printfs here. I suppose we could use the debugger, but the debugger sometimes gives me trouble. So we'll just do this, and let's close the one we got open already. I'm going to close the Godot 3 code so I don't get confused later and start editing that instead of the Godot 4 code. I was expecting that to recompile, but it did not. It just ran it. All right, let's close this again. Let's rebuild it. Now run it. All right, so we should see when the editor loads up, it should automatically load our editor plugin, and we should see a. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Cannot find instance binding callback. That is some spam that should be investigated. All right, notification enter tree. That is very interesting. I think I might know what that is. Okay, well let's finish looking into this thing, cleaning that code up, make a commit, and then I might dig into this. So when I close this, we should see a corresponding notification exit tree. Notification exit tree. All right, so we know that code is actually being called. That should be good. Let's get rid of this enter tree, exit tree. We don't need them. Remove it from the header too. Diff seems fine. Clean up remaining code. There we go. Okay. Now, I am 99% sure I know where that's coming from. Let's find which copy of Godot CPP we're going to look in. This is not the right file. Or no, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Okay. Well, let's look at the message again, so I can triangulate my way here quicker. But there was an issue that I worked on that fixed the object cast2 method in GDExtension, and I'm pretty sure that this message is from that code that I added. Get instance binding callbacks here. No, it's not. It's not from that. I think. Hang on. Let me try and understand this here. GDExtension instance binding callbacks, get instance binding callbacks. So what is calling this? Hang on. Let's go look at this issue I was talking about, and that will help me find the right place of the code that I need to look at. Requests closed. Author DSnowpack. That was this. No, not the revert. So right before Godot 4.0 was released, I made a PR to attempt to fix this, and it broke everything. And then we reverted it for Godot 4.0. Even though the problem was real, it just needed a much more complicated fix. And then I think this ultimately is the fix that we have now. Okay, so the main bits I want to see is what happens in ClassDB. Yeah, okay, no, this is the code that I added. Okay, just didn't recognize it. ClassDB get instance binding callbacks, and this grabs it from our big map of instance binding callbacks. We need to go a little bit higher up. Instance binding callbacks. Okay, this is in object.cpp. So I think ultimately this is a Godot bug, not a Godot CPP bug. Still created by me. I still made this bug. But I think this is going to take us into the Godot source code. So here's an explanation of what I think is happening so that you guys can follow my thoughts maybe a little bit if I'm not too totally crazy. We added this GDExtension interface object get class name method to ask Godot what is the name of an object's class from the perspective of the GDExtension. We can't do it the normal way. We had to add this special GDExtension interface method because we need to do this before the object binding exists, the object wrapper. I'm sorry, before the object wrapper exists. And once we have the object wrapper, we could just call get class name on it. But we need to know which wrapper to make. So we need to know what the type is. And then also we need to know what its type is from the perspective of the GDExtension, because let's say you're using multiple GDExtensions and one of them makes like a type that descends from node 2D and then passes it into a function that ends up calling to your GDExtension. Your GDExtension has no idea what that type is or how to wrap it specifically. It could still wrap it as a node 2D, but I'm explaining this horribly, but basically we need to know what its class name is for a class that this GDExtension actually knows about. So if it's an object from a different GDExtension, it can't know about it. So then it says, okay, it's just the parent type. But I think what's happening here is there are some classes that are bound on the Godot side, but aren't accessible to GDExtension. And that is causing us to hit this problem. Or maybe the problem is actually, maybe the problem is actually on the Godot CPP side, that these classes are in fact accessible, but we're just not putting them in our registry, right? Man, this is confusing stuff. Hey, Adam Scott, welcome to the stream. It was great to meet you in person in Valencia. I hope you had a good trip back. Mine wasn't terribly eventful, other than they lost my luggage on the way back. I had 3 connecting flights, so from Valencia to Paris, and then Paris to Detroit, and then Detroit to Appleton, where I live. And I guess they just left my luggage in Paris. They just didn't think it needed to go any further. I did get it the next day. It got to me the next day. They delivered it to my neighbor's house, not to my house, because that would be too easy. But I did ultimately get it. All right, so let's go look at the Godot side of this. Am I in the Godot code? I think I am. Yes. So I need to go to GDExtension interface CPP. And from here, we need I'm typing rather than searching. Get class name. All right. So get class name for extension. Ultimately leads us up here. So this does the logic I was just talking about. It checks, is this object from an extension? If it is from us, if it's from the same extension that's asking, then return the class name. Otherwise, just return the current class name. But for some reason, these handful of objects that are bound don't have wrappers on the GDExtension side. Why would that be? Either there is like some property on the Godot side that says don't expose these, or there's some bug on the Godot CPP side that should be making wrappers for them but isn't. So let's look at what some of these objects are. Editor property enum. Let's go find that. Editor property enum. You guys are hilarious. Did it not find what I was looking for? I got distracted. Editor property enum. Find it. There we go. So an editor properties H. Let's go there. Okay. So it is bound. GD class, we're calling it. Bind methods happens. It doesn't bind anything in particular, but it happens. So why is this not on the GDExtension side? Is it because it's an editor class? I mean, a bunch of editor classes are bound, have wrappers generated on the GDExtension side. But we don't have it here. So let me just search for editor property enum. Yeah, okay, let's look in the extension API JSON. We'll go to this one. Is it in here? Editor property enum. No. So it doesn't appear here. What heuristic leads it to not appear here? Why isn't it appearing here? Okay, on the Godot side. What happens when David hits a breakpoint? I mean, I guess then you have to manually step. You have to F5 through, or not F5. That would continue me. I don't know where to go with this, guys. This is getting too deep. Okay, so where is the extension stuff generated? It's like extension API dump.cpp. All right. Somewhere in here, it's going to loop through classes. Here we go. Class DB, get class list, sort them. And we're looping through them. Is there something in here that causes it to skip some classes? Or is it skipped initially? Like, are there classes that aren't included in the class list? Let's take a slight detour here. Oh, Ricardo, that's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, so somewhere we're registering this, and I just want to see if the registration looks different somehow. Or is that the thing? Are we not registering it? Are we, okay, is what's happening here that some classes do the GD class thing, but then aren't ever actually like registered with class DB? Okay. I think that's what's happening. So it's declared GD class, so it gets all the normal stuff, so it can like report to us a class name, but it's not in the class DB. So what we actually need to happen is for where was that? We were in object CPP is for where is it? Get class name for extension somewhere, or maybe that was in the header file. It was in object.h. Yes, get class name for extension. We need to actually like loop and say we need to say, is this class name? And should the loop be here or should the loop be above here? I feel like the loop should be above here. And if it should be above here, is there a way to do this entirely above here? Like, okay, so we need to check extension. Is that accessible somehow from the outside? Get extension. Is that a public thing we can call? Always in line. So it's really annoying in like Java or similar languages where you have to type, public in front of every method that's public. But it's actually kind of nice when you're searching through the source code. I don't have to go try and find that this is under protected. I just see it on the line. But anyway, so it's protected. We might be able to call it, but we might not. Could we turn this into a recursive problem as opposed to a looping problem? In which case, we probably don't want to keep that method marked as inline. But So this is so confusing. So get class. Adam Scott says, how is the Vim extension for VS Code? Like, I had some problems with search shortcuts, but maybe I should use 100% Vim search tools. So it's pretty decent. It's not perfect, particularly when it comes to interacting with other VS Code extensions. Weird things sometimes happen, but it is pretty good. Trying to remember how it compared to like the JetBrains Vim plugin, but it's pretty good. I've used worse Vim plugins. it's definitely workable, I guess I would say. Inheritance list static, but that's strings. Okay, so what I'm trying to figure out is can we get the parent class as a string name? There's a couple of methods I see to get it as a string, but we really need a string name. Of course, you can convert them, but it's slow. And if we're going to be doing this lookup anytime that we are creating a wrapper object in GDExtension for an object that previously existed in Godot, you'd want that to be as fast as possible. So, okay, let's go back to get class name. There should be a way to get the parent class. Okay, so when we do GD class, we are passing this M inherits. What are we doing with that? Something good, I hope. Is class enabled? Is GD defined class disabled? Interesting. I don't know what that means. Okay, parent class static. This returns a string. Is class pointer static true? M inherits is class pointer. Static parent class static. I mean, we can add a new method that gets the parent class as a string, or as a string name. I'd really like to not have to add too much to the object class, because like everything in Godot inherits from the object class. So getting the parent's class name. So it has nothing to do with It has nothing to do with the instance of the class. This would all be static stuff. But what happens if the parent is also from a GD extension? I created this bug. I should be able to fix it, right? Okay, so this code is good. That's good code. This part only works if this object is registered in class DB. And if it isn't, we really want its parent class, which is probably registered in class DB. But if it's not, then we need to go to its parent class. How do we walk up this chain, though? This is really confusing. So we had a way to get all of the parent classes. It was like a list of strings. And this function could just return a string name because I think get class static, or no, get class is also returning a string. Get inheritance list static. Okay, let's get out of object. Let's go back to GDExtension, interface, CPP. So essentially, we want to do like if class DB, if not, if not class DB, it has, exists, class exists, class name, should be an asterisk. Then we need to get the inheritance list. So that was what, a vector of strings? I'm lost. Object H, get inheritance list static. Is there a non-static version of that? Whatever, we can. Oh, it's and it takes a list of strings. Okay, so say list string inheritance, and then we do I do actually write PHP on a regular basis. So yeah, it could be some PHP muscles sneaking in there. I write like C++, GDScript, PHP, JavaScript on like a basically daily basis. I write all of those programming languages, and then of course other ones less often. Python, I guess maybe on a weekly basis. I write some Python. So then how are we gonna call this? Because we can't call a static method on an object that isn't already cast to whatever it is, right? So get inheritance list static is something virtual calling this. That's what we need. We need something virtual to call this. Get inheritance list static. What did I mistype? Inheritance list static. I am sorry, guys, for going down this like really tough path here. I might just say that I need to do this later. I don't know what the solution is. We need to return the class name, but only if this object is in the class DB, and if not, we need to get the parent class name. Or was there a way we could get just the parent class name? Okay, so get parent class static. Get parent class static. Get parent class static. Is something somewhere calling it so that we can call that thing? Okay, I think we might end up in a situation where we need to add a new method to object to make this work. Because what we need to do, unless we can do it all in this get extension for method thing, or get class name for extension. So when this is called, yeah, okay. So when this is called, the way that we're able to get the class name at all is because of this get class name v, which is a virtual method that then calls to the static method. Isn't scripts use the thing you explained about parent native class? Isn't scripts using? I'm not sure I understand what you mean, Adam. Yeah, how scripts need to check the native class. Yeah, how do they do that? Well, I mean, so scripts are, of course, attached to a particular node. So that might be the difference here, where these are all native classes. But yeah, there should be a way for us to get the parent class of an arbitrary object, right? We have get parent class static, get parent class static. All right. Let's just do what I think we need to do, which is add a virtual method, get parent class name v. What is it? M inherits. Parent class name static. Okay, does this look right? So get parent class name v, parent class name static, parent class static, assign static unique class name. I'm not sure what this method does here. Assign parent class name. So do we need this because there's a mutex? I'm not entirely sure why this method is needed here, but we'll use it because the normal class name one does. And then this is a virtual method that we should be overriding one on the object base class, which we'll need to add that. So get class name v. Is this the original one? Virtual const? Yes. So then get parent class name v, class name, parent class name. Oh, what is the parent class for an object? There is none. Maybe we return null here. Is that an okay thing to do? Okay, so yeah, I don't know how obvious this is to like people who aren't like super deep into C++, but the problem that I'm attempting to solve here is that we have these static functions that know like the class name they are, and then we just added one that knows what the parent class is, or no, we added a virtual. Ignore the thing we just added. So we have a where is it? Or no, I guess it's doing it all right in here. But we do have a static method that knows what class we are. Anyway, static methods are specific functions. They don't. Okay, so well, we have an object pointer, right? And we need to know what is its parent class. There's a static function that can give us the parent class, but we can't call that on just a plain object pointer. We'd have to call that on like node : get parent class, or like node 3D : get parent class. We can't just call it on an object pointer and have it give us the thing that we want. To do that, we need a virtual method that we can call on the object pointer, which then goes into the class's like virtual table and says, okay, the class that we actually are, which could be node 3D, we're going to call this function over there, and then that's going to give us the name of the class. ObjectDB cleanup an object tries to get the native classes of object. That's interesting. Let's take a look at that really quick. ObjectDB, where is ObjectDB? Okay, so this is static method. Object DB instances leaked at exit. Okay, so this is like part of the trying to find what objects are still alive. And you're saying tries to get the native classes of objects. Class DB get method, node get name. Okay, so we're getting the actual method bind. Resource path, resource get name. Is class. If it's a node, we do some nodely things to it. If it's a resource, things. Okay, so this is just trying to identify the things that still exist. Yeah, I don't know that this helps us. But this is interesting. I have not ever looked at this code, so I'm happy for the opportunity to poke around in it. Yeah, so I mean we're getting the class name, which I think is always the native class, right? So when we say get class, that well, this is I guess object in particular, but there's other definitions of get class, right? I think one gets added. Yeah, okay, so then every time we use the GD class macro, it adds a get class an implementation of this virtual function, which then returns that. I mean, if you can detect if it's a node or a resource, you can call the right function to get the static parent. I actually don't know that. I mean, I don't know that that's true. So a static function is like a single unique function. Like let me find a place I can write some code. I'll make like a scratch pad. So like if we have let's say like I don't know what's a good class. I'm sick of using Node 2D and Node 3D as examples. We'll say sprite. So if we have sprite and there's like a get parent class name, and there's like a character body, and we have get parent class name, that's great in that this can be like return sprite and return character body. But if what we have is an object pointer or even a node pointer or anything, we can't do like obj get parent class name because that's going to call literally object get parent class name, which will only ever return object, if that makes sense. We need this whole like virtual method thing in order for this to get routed to the actual place. Anyway, I think the things that I added will allow us to do this. I just hate adding things in here because, like I said, this code is used by everything in Godot. So I don't want to have to add stuff here if I don't want to add stuff here if I don't have to. Unfortunately, I think I might have to. Okay, so we added this get parent class name thing, which we can now potentially use. Let's go to welcome David to the stream. You got a pretty cool character. A green possibly dress and some brown hair. Okay, so I was doing get class name for extension. Okay, so what we need to do, I guess, we don't need the okay. Class name. Or no, here, we'll just do, this is easy enough. Do it like this. And then this probably shouldn't be inline. Force inline, I think here's a mistake. And we need to make sure that it's in the class DB. So say like while, or no, let's keep this as a pointer, not string name. Okay, so while class name is not equal null. I'm confusing myself. I shouldn't even. I need to spend some time working on this, probably off stream. But let me I guess try to get my current thoughts out. And I don't know where this AI generated junk is coming from. It's driving me crazy. I thought it was this tab 9 extension that I installed like a million years ago and then thought I removed. No, don't install. It's just remove. Go away. Be gone. I don't know. I don't know what's causing that. Let me just get my thoughts out of my brain. And sorry for going down this rabbit hole. Okay, so if this pointer does not equal null and not class DB class exists class name, then we need to grab the parent class name equals get parent class name v type value of const string name cannot be used to. Okay, so this just wants to be const. I think that's what those errors are about. And then we just need to deal with it. This can be null sometimes. Maybe the having null be an option was a bad idea. Let me get rid of that. Do basically the same thing as this one. All right, since I've gone this far, and we've gone this deep in the rabbit hole, we have to test it. We have to. There's no way. I know we're getting to the end of traditionally how long I stream till, but we have to test this. We have to test it. Just build it. Oh, what did I do? Class DB has not been declared. That is unfortunate. How are we going to deal with that? Okay, so class DB definitely depends on object. This is a static method. or we're calling a static method. So I think, does object CPP have class DB? It does. Beautiful. So all we have to do is move this function from the header to the, I don't know if you can help, but is shadowing is checking something related to what you're trying to do. GDEscript analyzer. All right, let's check that out. GDEscript analyzer. Is shadowing. All right, so GDEscript analyzer. We have an identifier and a context. I'm not super familiar with GDEscript internals, so I'm gonna be sort of faking it here. Oh, you got a roll, Adam. Thanks for coming. Current class, get data type, base class, get functions. So what this is looking for is if this identifier, if the name of this identifier in your GDEscript matches a another public function. Yeah, I think in the end this isn't super helpful because everything in GDEscript is going to be a class that's in class DB. I guess, yeah, there might be something in GDEscript that has to deal with the same situation though, right? Because GDEscript can be passed an object that isn't in class DB, and then it should just treat it as its parent. So maybe GDEscript does have a solution to the same problem. But again, like here we are at class DB get parent class. The problem is that we can't use that because the problem that we're trying to solve is how to handle a class that isn't in class DB. So get parent class is not going to return anything because this class is not in class DB. Yeah, I don't see any other way to handle this. Let's just try and test. Let's just try and test the code that we wrote, and I will probably realize that this is all totally wrong and crazy after the stream. But I need to test it. I need to. So this was get class name for extension. So this code needs to be moved into object CPP. I'm not sure where to put it, where to put anything. This stuff is all object DB related. These constructors, instance binding stuff. That's kind of related to GDExtension. Let's put it here. All right, I think this should be good. Oh, we have to delete the old implementation. Oops. And let's see if it compiles. Of course, we changed object.h, so everything in Godot is going to need to recompile. Well, you know, I think overall we accomplished some good stuff in this stream. The things that we did at the beginning related to editor plugins, all that worked great. We got undo redo working, which is fabulous. This tangent, I mean, this needs to be solved, but this tangent was a little bit less successful. I think because I just picked a really hard problem to think about. Because what we want to know and can we cache this? I think we probably can. Once we know what our class name is for the extension. But like, I don't know. This is gonna need some thinking. We have just a random object. It's being passed from Godot to Godot CPP. In order to use it, Godot CPP has to create a wrapper class. It needs to know the type of that wrapper class to use. But if the object that it's passed is not in class DB, we need to figure out what wrapper to use. And is there an easier way to do that? I'm just not sure. Anyway, this will be compiled in a moment. Sweet, it is. And I believe I have my SGPhysics 2D launch JSON set to use whatever I compile in my Godot 4 project workspace. So if I just run this, it should use the code that we just wrote. And segfault. Okay, a segfault related to string names. What do we got? The class exists. We're calling. We hit the hash map of classes. And class exists is just calling has. And we are crashing when we attempt to hash the string name, which makes it seem, oh, fault address, null. Okay, so we're trying to pass a string name, a null pointer to string name. Okay. I thought I got rid of null as an option. Apparently I did not. So parent class name EV, blah, 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 blah. And the other I don't see how this could be null. I really don't. I think I might end up having to just end this stream very unsatisfactorily. I'm sorry, guys. We should have done the fairies. We should have done the fairies and the bees. Maybe we will next time. Well, in any case, thanks everyone for coming to the stream. It was fun despite the very anticlimactic ending. And yeah, come join the Discord, and we can chat some more. Otherwise, I think I'll be around next week for another stream, or not. Actually, I think there might be a GDExtension meeting happening at the next stream time. But I will let everyone know via the Discord and the Mastodon and the Facebook and all of the things when the next stream will be. In any case, I hope everyone has a great weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.